Professional wrestling is often described as a mix of sports and entertainment. While the matches and storylines are scripted, real-life tensions and unscripted moments, known as shoots, have always been part of the industry. These moments remind fans that behind the glitz and drama, wrestling is a highly physical and competitive business. This video explores 50 key aspects of shoot incidents in professional wrestling, focusing on their causes, famous examples, backstage conflicts, impact on careers, and lasting effects on the industry. Welcome to Wrestling with Me, the ultimate destination for wrestling fans. Get ready to dive into the world of high-flying action, jaw-dropping moments, and all the drama inside the squared circle. Whether you're here for legendary matches or in-depth analysis, this is the place to be. Don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell to stay in the loop as we bring you the best wrestling content every week. Shoot incidents happen for several reasons. Sometimes, personal rivalries between wrestlers escalate into real fights. In other cases, one wrestler may feel disrespected by another, leading to in-ring stiffness or backstage confrontations. Additionally, disagreements over creative direction, pay disputes, or unprofessional behavior can turn a scripted environment into a real-life conflict. Throughout wrestling history, many matches have turned into real fights. A classic example is Bret Hart vs. Vince McMahon in 1997 during the infamous Montreal Screwjob. Hart, believing he was double-crossed, punched McMahon backstage, right in the eye and giving him a shiner that he wouldn't forget. Another example is Daniel Puder vs. Kurt Angle in 2004, where Puder, a trained MMA fighter, locked Angle in a real submission hold during a televised segment, forcing WWE officials to intervene before Angle was seriously injured. These moments became legendary because they blurred the lines between reality and fiction. Some of the most intense shoot incidents never made it to television. In 1993, Sid Vicious and Arn Anderson got into a brutal fight in a hotel that involved scissors, resulting in serious injuries. Another well-known incident occurred in 2006 when Booker T and Batista had a real brawl during a commercial shoot. These conflicts often stem from egos, personal grudges, or wrestlers trying to prove their dominance in the locker room. Shoot incidents can shape or damage a wrestler's career. Some wrestlers, like Brock Lesnar, have used their real-life toughness to build their reputation. Others, like Nails, who physically attacked Vince McMahon, found themselves blacklisted from the industry. In the case of CM Punk, his shoot promo in 2011 The Pipe Bomb made him one of the most talked-about wrestlers in the world, elevating his career. However, his later backstage fights in AEW led to him being fired, proving that shoot incidents can be both beneficial and destructive. In the world of professional wrestling, scripted action and real-life tension sometimes collide in unexpected ways. One of the most infamous shoot incidents in wrestling history occurred in 1977 when Antonio Inoki, a highly respected Japanese wrestler, faced off against the Great Antonio, a Canadian strongman known for his size and eccentric behavior. What was supposed to be a standard match quickly turned into a one-sided beatdown, forever marking the night as a moment where professionalism met raw aggression. Antonio Inoki was not just a top-tier wrestler in Japan, he was a national icon, known for his technical skill, strong style, and ability to mix professional wrestling with legitimate martial arts. He had already fought real-life legends such as Muhammad Ali in his pursuit of proving wrestling's legitimacy. On the other hand, the Great Antonio was a massive, over 400-pound wrestler and strong man from Canada, famous for his bizarre antics and incredible feats of strength. However, his in-ring abilities were questionable, and his attitude toward opponents was often uncooperative. From the opening moments, it was clear that the Great Antonio was not taking the match seriously. He moved sluggishly and no-sold Inoki's strikes, refusing to show any reaction to his opponent's offense. His lack of professionalism was frustrating, but things escalated when he began delivering reckless and unplanned stiff shots to Inoki. Rather than working within the match's structure, the Great Antonio swung wildly and struck Inoki multiple times with legitimate blows. Inoki, known for his discipline and deep respect for wrestling, did not tolerate disrespect inside the ring. After enduring multiple stiff shots, he decided to retaliate. He unleashed a flurry of brutal leg kicks, body shots, and open hand strikes that left the Great Antonio staggered. With precision and control, Inoki took the larger man down and continued to attack, busting him open with repeated blows to the face. Blood poured down the great Antonio's face as he collapsed onto the mat, defenseless and humiliated. The referee quickly called the match, but the damage had been done. The great Antonio lay battered in the ring, a stark reminder of what happens when a wrestler disrespects his opponent and the business. He never wrestled in Japan again and faded into obscurity in the wrestling world. Meanwhile, Inoki's reputation as a legitimate fighter and enforcer of discipline in wrestling only grew stronger. The match remains one of the most infamous shoot moments in professional wrestling history. It serves as a cautionary tale about respect in the ring and the consequences of disregarding the unspoken rules of the industry. Inoki's decisive response demonstrated that while wrestling may be scripted, the consequences of unprofessional behavior can be very real. Next up, we have the slap that was heard around the world. This must have been a heavy wake-up call and not ask stupid questions because professional wrestling has long battled skepticism about its legitimacy. In 1984, an infamous incident involving Dr. David Schultz and journalist John Stossel became one of the most talked-about moments in wrestling history. Stossel, a reporter for ABC's 2020's, approached Schultz backstage with a simple yet provocative question: "Is wrestling fake?" What followed was a shocking response that sparked controversy, lawsuits, and debates about wrestling's culture of toughness. During the early 1980s, WWE was expanding into mainstream entertainment under Vince McMahon's leadership. However, public perception of wrestling remained divided between those who viewed it as a legitimate sport and those who saw it as scripted entertainment. John Stossel, known for his investigative reporting, aimed to expose wrestling's theatrical nature. As part of his story, he interviewed various wrestlers, including Dr. David Schultz, who was a rugged, no-nonsense performer with a reputation for taking his persona seriously. During the interview, Stossel confronted Schultz with skepticism about wrestling's authenticity. When Stossel directly asked, "Is wrestling fake?" Schultz reacted aggressively and without hesitation. Schultz delivered a pair of hard slaps to the side of Stossel's head, knocking him to the ground. The sound of the slaps echoed, and Stossel, visibly shaken, later claimed he suffered hearing damage from the assault. The incident quickly made headlines, with media outlets criticizing Schultz and the wrestling industry for its response to criticism. Stossel filed a lawsuit against WWE, alleging that he suffered long-term injuries from the attack. The case was eventually settled out of court for a reported $425,000. As for Schultz, he was initially supported by Vince McMahon, who had a history of promoting tough, reality-based responses to protect the image of wrestling. However, Schultz was soon let go from WWE, with many believing that the company wanted to distance itself from the controversy. In later years, Schultz maintained that he was simply protecting the wrestling business, believing he was encouraged to react in such a way. He claimed that McMahon had implied he should stay in character when dealing with reporters. Schultz also argued that Stossel exaggerated his injuries to secure a financial settlement. The Stossel slap remains one of the most famous shoot moments in wrestling history, often cited in discussions about KAYFABE, the practice of maintaining wrestling's illusion of reality. The incident highlighted the era's blurred lines between performance and reality, reinforcing the lengths some wrestlers would go to defend the business. While Schultz never returned to WWE, his actions cemented his place in wrestling folklore as both an enforcer of KAYFABE and a cautionary tale of how real-life aggression could backfire in a changing industry. Next up, we have the Montreal Screwjob with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. Few real-life incidents in professional wrestling have left a lasting impact like the Montreal Screwjob. On November 9, 1997, during the WWF Survivor Series pay-per-view, Bret the Hitman Hart faced Shawn Michaels in a match that would forever change the industry. What was meant to be a scripted match turned into an unsanctioned double cross, orchestrated by WWF owner Vince McMahon. The fallout from this moment not only defined the careers of those involved but also reshaped the wrestling business for years to come. Bret Hart was one of the WWF's biggest stars and had been with the company for over a decade. However, as WWF struggled financially, Vince McMahon offered Hart a lucrative contract, only to later rescind the offer, telling him to negotiate with rival promotion WCW. Reluctantly, Hart agreed to leave but wanted to drop the WWF Championship in a way that protected his character. However, tensions were high, particularly with Shawn Michaels, his longtime rival, who had previously disrespected Hart both on and off screen. Hart, unwilling to lose to Michaels in front of his home country fans in Montreal, proposed an alternative finish where he would retain the title and relinquish it later. However, McMahon feared that Hart might appear on WCW television with the WWF title, similar to what had happened when Alundra Blaze defected to WCW with the Women's Championship in 1995. This paranoia led McMahon to make a controversial decision behind Hart's back. As the match neared its conclusion, Michaels locked Hart in Hart's own signature submission move, the sharpshooter. Suddenly, referee Earl Hebner signaled for the bell to ring, despite Hart not tapping out. Confused and enraged, Hart realized he had been betrayed. Michaels was quickly declared the new WWF champion, while Hart, still in the ring, spat directly in McMahon's face before trashing ringside equipment. Backstage, emotions ran high. Hart confronted McMahon in the locker room and, after a heated exchange, knocked him down with a single punch. McMahon was left with a black eye, a visible reminder of the betrayal. Hart left WWF for WCW, but his career never reached the same heights. The incident created a real-life rift between Hart and McMahon that lasted for over a decade. Meanwhile, the screwjob fueled McMahon's on-screen persona as the villainous Mr. McMahon, leading to the famous feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin, which helped WWF dominate the wrestling industry. Well, that's all we've got time for today, and a big thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our future content. See you in the next video.